So recently, I got this beautiful indie eyeshadow palette full of multi-chrome eyeshadows. The palette is Rich Romantic by Glaminatrix, and it looks like this. I included it in my project pan, and I intend to use it for 15 times. Today is one of those times. If you want to see me apply the look that I'm wearing right now and describe in detail what I'm doing and my thoughts on the palette, please keep watching. So today we're going to be creating a look using the Glaminatrix Rich Romantic palette. It has been requested in the comments, and clearly I enjoy doing whatever my subscribers and followers want. So this is how the palette looks like, and since including it in my project pan, I have used almost all of the shades now. Some of the looks you can already see on my Instagram account, and if they're not there yet, they will be there soon. So if you want to see what I'm doing with this palette in my 15 uses that I have for my project pan, please go ahead and see my Instagram account. And before we start, I also want to add that I do want to film a full review of this palette once I have more of my thoughts gathered. So that video would include things like my detailed thoughts about all of the specific shades, about the packaging, my general experience, as well as swatches of all of the eyeshadows and possibly comparisons to other things that I have in my collection. In this video, I will be just creating a look with this palette. I will be mentioning some of my thoughts about it, so if you're curious, definitely keep watching. I have used almost all of the eyeshadows already. I have tried them at least once. There is one shadow, this one, Seductive. This is the one that I haven't used yet. I have swatched it, but I haven't used it on my eyes. So I am curious to use it today because it's kind of more green than all the other ones, and it shifts a little orange. A lot of the mattes in the palette are pink and purple. That's the theme of the palette. But I was thinking to pair it with the brown and potentially this neon-y peach orange. I also think I will be using this as my inner corner and brow bone, but the main feature of today's look I want to be this shade. So I will be starting with an eyeshadow primer. I will go for the Urban Decay Primer Potion. I was very curious about it for years because it has been very popular for many years in the makeup community and raved about a lot. And finally, last year, I was able to find it when I was in UK. So I got it, of course. And it hasn't blown my mind, really. It has a slight color and, I mean, it helps. It does the job, basically. But is it, like, that much better than anything else on the market? I'm not sure about that. Now that I have the eyeshadow primer on, I am gonna start with the orange shade here, the shade called Devotion, and I am gonna build my crease and my basic shape with that shadow using a fluffy blending brush. This is my go-to method to start most of my eyeshadow looks, just build the shape that I enjoy. In case you're curious, most of the brushes that I will be using today are from the brand Hulu. I got them all together on a beauty fair kind of thing a few years ago. I'm not sure where you can get them or what kind of brand that is, but I have been really enjoying the ones that I picked. My experience with the Glaminatrix mattes has been really positive so far. Looking at the palette, I really expected them to be very bright and possibly difficult to use, but I find them to be actually very beginner friendly. They're not very pigmented from the very start, which is a good thing. There is color, of course, like you can see that there is color when I'm applying, but it's not an immediate dot of color that then you have to struggle to blend out. It is very buildable, it's more like watercolor in a way, and I really enjoyed that. And I think they would be really easy to use even if you're not used to using more bright colors on your eyes. So the shape that I'm building, as you can see, is basically my whole crease. My eyes are a bit deep set, and I am kind of using that to my advantage because my brush just goes straight into the crease. And I'm kind of already winging it out on this edge. I find that it helps me later when I'm putting a darker color to just keep to that shape. Also, because now I'm using a lighter color, it is easier to remove and correct that shape before I commit it to the darker shade. And the way I am establishing my preferred shape of the eyeshadow is looking at how my lower lash line goes and just continuing the line from there. Later on, I will show another trick that I use to sharpen that line and really define that shape. So now that I have this shape on both of my eyes, I will continue building on the shape from the bottom eyelid. And for that, I'm going to be using my Anastasia Beverly Hills brush. It is just a brush that I got together with the palette, and I am using the flatter, more dense side of it. I find that shape to be perfect to build and blend out eyeshadow on my lower lash line. So I am taking the same color and I am just kind of parking it here in the edge, and then I'm blending from there. And because it's kind of a light color, I am not really worried about how much shade I add. It's more about matching both of my eyelids to each other with that color. But yeah, I am just blending it a little towards my inner corner. And then from here, I am just blending it up and connecting it to the line that I created before with the same color, building my shape. And I am just creating that line here. I have my base laid out. This is the moment when I would darker the areas that I want to darken with my darker shade of choice. I think looking at this palette and considering what works with the orange shade that I just used, and also what works with the greeny duochrome shade that I am planning to use, I think I could go either in this direction or I could go in this or this direction. I don't think I want to use this because I don't really want to go this dark, and I don't really want to go in this direction because this is the eyeshadow that I used yesterday. I just don't want to repeat the same thing, so I think I will do this today. And this brown is called Timeless. For that I am using another Hulu brush. It is also fluffy, but it's more flat, so for me that is the perfect shape to build this outer corner and also blend it out. And I am gonna stamp it in my outer corner. And because this brush is shaped this way, it's allowing me to make the extended outer corner the way I like it to be. But also it's fluffy, so I can immediately start blending with that same brush. I haven't combined these two shades together, and it's very interesting to see how this brown is looking very green compared to that orange. I am really enjoying that actually. As you can see, I am just applying more to the place where I want the darkest shade to be. I am bringing it a little up and into my crease, and then the rest onto my lid, just because I want everything to be smooth and blended. And then when I have less shadow on my brush, I use the same brush and I just blend the whole top, and I blend my dark corner out. So now again, to match my top and bottom eyelid, I will grab the same brush from my bottom eyelid as before, and I will do a similar thing to what I did with my orange shade, just with the darker shade. I have wiped my brush down on a paper towel to get rid of the residue of the previous shade, and now I am going in with my brown shade. I am again kind of stamping it mostly in the outer corner and gently blending it from there. I am also using my first fluffier blending brush and just blending everything together. It already looks kind of blended, so it's not like I have anything to fix. I just like doing that to make sure that everything is blended, everything looks smooth, married together. Something I often do when I want to sharpen my edges, clean up any blending issues, anything like that. Grab a powder foundation. This one that I have is from Glamshop, and as you can see, I have used it quite a lot. I never use this as actual powder foundation. The only way I ever use this powder is to either add coverage for my under eyes or to do exactly what I'm about to show you now. So I'm grabbing a fluffy brush like this one. It's more fluffy than my dark eyeshadow brush. It's also bigger, has a bigger surface. Basically, it needs to be fluffy, but also needs to have an edge, because the edge is what I'm using for this. And mine looks a bit beaten up. It's pretty old, and it's from Makeup Revolution. I don't know if they still have it. I actually got it in PR a long time ago, in like 2016 probably, and I still have it. It's a very nice brush. It's one of my favorites. So what I do is I just grab some of this and I kind of stamp it and drag it along my desired edge of the eyeshadow. So first of all, it will clean up. Obviously, if there's black eyeshadow smeared, it will not help. But with eyeshadow colors like this, with minor blending issues, it definitely helps. Because it adds a slightly lighter shade to my skin under there, it also visually sharpens the edge. I will sometimes also bring it up onto my brow bone if I feel like I blended my colors too high. So now is the time for the star of the show, the multichrome. This one. The way I work with shimmery eyeshadows of any kind, I always put a glitter primer underneath first. Since many years now, I've consistently always been using the NYX glitter primer under my shimmer eyeshadows. First of all, it really emphasizes the shimmer. Even the lower quality shimmers will look way better if you have a sticky base underneath. I do think that if an eyeshadow is very sparkly, flaky, has a lot of potential to have fallout, it also helps to catch all of that fallout before it happens. I don't think you necessarily need to be using this particular one. There are other glitter primers on the market that you could test out. I remember having one from Makeup Revolution and it also worked well for me. I had no issues. My favorite way to apply shimmery eyeshadows of any kind is with my fingers. I rarely apply shimmery eyeshadows to my whole lid using a brush. I do have brushes that technically would work well for this, but I just prefer, first of all, feeling the eyeshadow, but also I feel like it really stamps the color more. Using a finger allows me to really press it onto the glue that I just applied, and I feel like that gives me the best and most opaque coverage. I just get some on my finger and I apply it to my lid. Wow. Something that I noticed about Glaminatrix shimmers in this palette specifically is that they feel really smooth. They remind me of some Cliona multichromes. If you've ever tried Cliona multichromes and maybe shades like Hilt or Tessera, the more smooth textured ones, this is what these multichromes remind me of. The texture is very smooth, it feels delicate, but not like it will fall apart kind of delicate, but like it's so soft and pleasant to the touch. They are also very pigmented. As you can see, they provide a full opaque coverage. They are immediately very shimmery and they look amazing. I will add a bit more, although I don't really think I need it. And to be honest, I think my greed or whatever that is and wanting to apply so much more and have more of it on my lids is causing me to have some creasing. I did notice some creasing, I think yesterday when I was wearing the shade Romantic on my lid. I don't remember if I noticed it on any other days. But yeah, this shade, it does look green. Definitely looks more green than other shades in this palette, so I was correct in my assumption. Which is not that obvious because if you've ever used multichrome eyeshadows, you know that the way they look in the pan doesn't necessarily translate to the way they will look on the lid. This is how this looks just from me applying it for the first time. One thing that is missing for me in this look, and something that I always do in all of my eye looks, I do my inner corner and my brow bone highlight. So for my inner corner, at the moment, I am using my NYX Jumbo Pencil in Cottage Cheese as a base. It is a white shimmery shade. My preferred way of using it is just to intensify my inner corner highlight. Mine is a little old, so it's not officially in my project pan, but I am trying to use it up. So I am applying it just in the very inner corner, and I also drag it out onto my bottom lid and slightly up from the inner corner. As you can see, it could even work on its own. It doesn't necessarily need anything added on top, but I really want to, and I always do. I only use it as a base for my other shimmery eyeshadows that I put in my inner corner. So I think today, because my green multichrome shifts to peachy orange a little, I want to use the shade Romantic in my inner corner and my brow bone. This is the one multichrome in this palette that seems to me, from what I've noticed so far, to have a slightly different formula. It is softer, it almost feels like a cream, and I felt it especially when I used it with my finger all over my lid, because it kind of pressed itself into the palette like a cream does. I was a little surprised by that, but that is also making it a little harder for me, or less pleasant to use with a brush than, for example, Captivating, which is the pink shade here, that is more powdery. I think you can even tell by the way they look in the palette how this one has kind of a little hole in it, just from me pressing it with my finger yesterday when I applied it all over my lid. I will grab it with my brush and I will apply it in my inner corner and my brow bone. And my favorite brush to use for that is another Hulu brush. It looks like this. It doesn't have to be a Hulu brush, which is why I'm showing it to you. Basically, what I like is a pointy, smaller brush that is also fluffy enough to blend. And I am applying it over top of the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil. It shifts between peach and lime green, and I feel like it works well with this look. And this is how it looks like. So my lid color now in natural light looks mostly light green. This whole palette, but also this shadow in particular, will be perfect for the spring season. All of the shades are very soft and romantic and peachy and pink and green, so I think it will be perfect for that. And I know Glaminatrix is from Australia, so when they released this palette for them, that was spring, so I think it works perfectly. The lid shade looks like light green with some gold shift, and I know that if I put a flashlight or if I am in a different kind of light, basically even like in my bathroom, it will shift also to peach orange, kind of this shade. And then my inner corner is a lighter shade with very similar shifts. So there's also green and there's also peach. I think they match perfectly together. So what I have walked you through is my typical way of applying any kind of eyeshadow. Really, you can use those techniques, and I do use those techniques all the time with all the eyeshadows that I use if I want just a simple look. So it doesn't matter that I use this palette today, I do it with any palettes that I have. So now I will just add my eyeliner, mascara, lip products, and I will use a setting spray, and then I will come back to you. And this is my finished look. I'm hoping to improve my lighting setup in the future, so hopefully soon-ish we will be able to see all the multichromes and shimmers and me on camera better. But yeah, this is my finished look. I will put every product that I used today to achieve this makeup in the description box down below. So if you're curious about anything else on my face, I will put it down there. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I also hope you are looking forward to my full review of the Glaminatrix Rich Romantic palette. But as you can probably tell, my initial thoughts are very positive. I think the color story is beautiful. I really like the multichromes. I enjoyed the mattes. In general, I really like the palette. If you want to see any more looks I do with it, you can always go to my Instagram page, where I always put most of the makeup looks that I create. And if you want to see me apply more looks on YouTube, also please let me know. This was the first time for me to do something like that, and so far I think I enjoyed it, so that's a good start. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Comment, let me know your thoughts about the look, the video, what else you want to see me do. And please subscribe if you want to see more from me. Have a good day. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, bye bye!